Hi everybody, this is Mr. Dyer. I'm going to be reading to you about properties of matter from a book called the ScienceSaurus, and I hope you enjoy. Feel free to watch this as many times as you'd like. This is the book. It's called the ScienceSaurus. It's a small science encyclopedia. Okay, we're going to start right here, matter, and we're going over this section, properties of matter. Matter is the stuff that all objects and substances in the universe are made of. Because all matter takes up space, has volume, and contains a certain amount of material, has mass, all matter can be detected and measured. You can observe some types of matter easily with your senses. For example, you can see or feel things like rocks, trees, bicycles, and different kinds of animals. And you can see and smell things like smoke from a fire. Other types of matter are a little more difficult to observe. The dust mites that live in your upholstered furniture and rugs are an example of matter that is too small to see with the naked eye. They can be observed only with special instruments like a microscope. Another example of matter that's hard to detect is air, the invisible gas that surrounds you. How do you know it's there? You can't see it or smell it, but you know it exists because you can feel it when the wind blows and see it bend the branches of the tree. Properties of matter. You know that a piece of cork is different from a piece of clay. Cork will break if you squeeze it hard, but clay will flatten or bend into a new shape. If you had a scale handy, you would find that a piece of cork weighs less than a piece of clay the same size. If you dropped both objects in water, you would see that the cork floats, but the clay sinks. Characteristics like these that help us identify or classify matter are called properties. The tendency to float or sink is a physical property of matter. You can see the cork floating and the clay sinks, even though they're the same size. All matter has both physical properties and chemical properties. Physical properties are those that can be observed without changing the makeup or identity of the matter. For example, clay is malleable, which means it will bend or flatten when squeezed. Squeezing changes the shape of the clay, but does not change what the clay is made of. Malleability is an example of a physical property. The chart below lists some common physical properties of matter. One of them is called density. That is the amount of matter in a given volume, so mass per unit of volume. Ductility. That is the ability to be pulled into thin strands like a wire. Malleability, the ability to be pressed or pounded into a thin sheet. Boiling point, the temperature at which a substance changes from a liquid to a gas. Melting point, the temperature at which a substance changes from a solid to a liquid. Electrical conductivity, how well a substance allows electricity to flow through it. And solubility, the ability to dissolve in another substance. These are some examples. There are more, but these are some examples of physical properties. Chemical properties describe matter based on its ability to change into a new kind of matter with different properties. For example, paper is flammable. It is capable of burning in the presence of oxygen. Flammability is a chemical property of paper. A chemical property of iron is its tendency to rust. Rusting occurs when iron reacts with oxygen to produce iron oxide. Reactivity to acid and to water are two more examples of chemical properties. Physical and chemical changes. If you fold a sheet of paper into thirds, you're left with a piece of paper 1/3 the size of the original, but the newly folded paper is still paper. Two physical properties of the paper, its size and its shape, have changed, but not its chemical properties. Such a change is called a physical change. Here's that example. If you hold a lit match to the paper will burn. What you're left with, ash, gases, and smoke, is no longer paper. The chemical properties of the paper have changed, producing new substances. This kind of change is called a chemical change. You can see an example right there. Many physical changes can be reversed. For example, you can unfold the piece of paper to return it to its original size and shape. Most chemical changes, on the other hand, cannot easily be undone. For example, you can't unburn a charred piece of paper. Thanks, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that. Feel free to rewatch that as many times as you'd like, and I hope that you learned a lot about properties of matter. Bye.